is going on? What is going on, my people? How on a day? What's going on? If you're watching me live, shout out to you. And if you're watching a rebroadcast, shout out to you as well. Today we're talking about why NAIJA men are getting dumped by their wives. Okay. This time is just a little off for our audience here, but nonetheless, we're going to have this conversation for those that may find it useful now and later. Okay, so we're talking about why Nigerian are getting dumped. And I was on an episode with Auntie B yesterday on Obodo Yimbo, and it kind of inspired this topic, you know. And I thought, you know what? We have to come back and actually do proper justice on this topic. I've got about 21 different points that we're going to go through. Okay. I know that the face of this topic today is FFK, Femi Fani-Kayode, who is a Nigerian politician. Okay. In fact, I will go through that story as well. There's a story that about him and his wife that I have to kind of go through. Him and Precious, the wife. Femi Fani-Kayode is a politician, Nigeria, well known, And let me see here. Let me make sure I pull up this story. There you go. All right. So he's the king of getting dumped. He actually got dumped a few times by this young lady. Let me see if I can pull. Let me show you what I am talking about really quickly on the screen, so that you can put a face to it. We're talking about this young man right here. Okay, that's Femi Fani-Kayode and his beautiful latest wife. He's been married and divorced about 4 times. Okay, it's a big guy in Nigeria. Like, people respect him. That's him right there. All right. So we're talking about Nigerian men getting dumped everywhere. Today is the day for the masterclass. They're getting dumped in diaspora, on ground in Africa, everywhere you turn, someone, even if you're not the one that got dumped, someone who's at some point, the wife said, you know what? I think I'm done, And usually they already left years before, at least spiritually, mentally, emotionally. They already left long before they actually pulled the trigger. Okay. I have a very short video of my sister Auntie B. I'm going to play today that she put out on TikTok yesterday. And I think it's going to help us really understand what we're talking about today. But I'm wondering, first of all, pardon my manners, how are you doing? How are you doing? We're doing a late night all this whole month, okay? We're doing a late night. And just to make sure that I keep bringing, but what you want to make sure is that I know you're probably busy too and it's late. What I want you to do is always make sure you come back and watch the replay. Not only should you watch the replay, make sure you let me know, okay, in the comment that, hey, I am watching a rebroadcast gang. I'm catching up. I've seen a few comments from a few of you that watch later, I appreciate it. We'll get to a normal time as time goes on. But nonetheless, we have to keep the work going. Okay? So why are Nigerian men getting dumped? Okay? Well, we kind of know across, but the whole world is getting westernized. It's not just Americans or those that live in the diaspora that are getting westernized. That's not true, right? A lot of people would like to make you believe that that's the case. The truth is that the whole world is getting westernized. The whole world is being enlightened. The whole world have an illusion and reality of choices. They can make choices. I call it illusion because there are some consequences of those choices too. And it's not always what we intended or what we bargained for, right? So people have choices, and sometimes they will exercise those choices and destroy the family unit before discovering that, oh shit, there's consequences, right? So you will find a lot of people, maybe they regret But the truth is that we know the numbers, right? The number says about 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. The part that a lot of men don't want to talk about is why. What happened? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Why are women initiating this divorce? Right? Why are hey, Isabel, good to see you, Isabel. And shout out to Lady Navoa, who was here earlier, much earlier. Shout out to you. Just want to make sure I acknowledge anyone that's coming in live, right? All right, so why are men, black men, I should say, really, getting dumped by their wives? They never really want to admit to it. It's just this modern women, something is wrong with them. That's what they usually resort to. This modern women. They don't want to listen to your man. You don't listen to your man. Oh, you can actually be right. Nonetheless, your whole family unit is going down the drains with that, right? So yeah, so we have Femi Fani-Kayode and Precious right there on the screen. Last year there was a news. I'm not sure if they're back together, but I know that she already took the court. She went to court, and I'm gonna read the article to you, so we can have a solid background, okay? But before we get into that, why don't we just get started properly, right? Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, here we go. So this is what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to read this to you, and this is old news, but this lesson is evergreen. Okay, this is actually old news, but this lesson is evergreen. Um, Ladies, I have about 7 points I'm going to share with you if you're going through this type of situation. That's going to help you. Okay. You have certain types of power that you may not realize. But I'm gonna highlight them for you today, okay? But gentlemen, I'm also gonna talk to you. If you find yourself in this situation, I'm gonna share 7 things with you that you can do to mitigate that space that your marriage is in right now, right? You too, you're not enjoying it, right? You know that it could be better. Majority of people are not going through infidelity situation. So some people say it's finance. Majority of people are not going through that. It's usually petty stuff. That's usually what the case is. But anyway, let's talk about this. First of all, before we get into Fani-Kayode, this is the. Let me play the video that inspired this from my sister Auntie B. And then we can get into the conversation for real. So let's get into it.
Nigerian men, husbands, wives want to go out. So why is it that when you are toasting us, you're asking us out, you say you love us, you want to marry us, you take us out, you give us a good time, take us to places, but once married, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years, it seems like the romance in most marriages is dead. Wife wants romance too. We want to go out. We want to have a good time. And we don't just want to go out with our friends. We don't always want to go to church or weddings or parties. We just want to hang out with you. Our husbands, please take time to take us out. On behalf of all Nigerian wives, I'm appealing to you as you are watching this weekend, next weekend, make time. Take your wife out. That $100, that £100 you're going to spend on an evening, having a good time, showing your wife a good time, taking her to dinner, taking her to the cinema, taking her for bowling, just the two of you, not even a family affair. It will be good. It will help her well-being. It will bring back some romance in your relationship. She'll feel good about herself. You'll sit down on a dinner table and face one another and talk. she'll feel like, oh, he still loves me. He's still checking me out. It will give us an opportunity to dress up. Please take your wives out today. Spend a little bit of coins to make sure that you are dating again. Or you both call it date night.
All right, so that's Auntie B right there from Obodo Oyinbo TV. I was on the show yesterday. Yes, I was on the show yesterday, and we had a conversation, a candid conversation, and she was graceful and she was open enough to be vulnerable and share a little bit more details of how she's feeling, and I really appreciated it because sometimes when people are talking about relationship marriage all the time, we can tend to come off as maybe your own situation is perfect, even though we do put in effort to let people know that there's no such thing as perfect, but people never hear that part. What people hear is how they feel. Right? So if you parade yourself in a certain way, like you and your spouse, you're doing well, people don't hear when you say, hey, there's no such thing as perfect. What they hear is what they want to hear, which is it looks perfect. Then they turn you into this super god of marriage goals or relationship goals, right? That's what people tend to do. So I understand it, okay? So, but this topic right now today is how we're going to dissect this. First of all, I don't want to normalize that marriage can't be good. Okay? I want to normalize that marriage can be good. But because we're human beings, okay, there's no such thing as perfect human beings. So if there is no such thing as perfect human beings, there cannot be such a thing as as a perfect marriage. Because the condition of the marriage is a function of the people in it. Does that make sense? The condition of the marriage is a function of the people in it. So if the people in it can never be perfect, they're not perfect. So with that being said, marriage can be good. You can actually get with somebody that you guys see eye to eye a lot, right? And you can do all of that and still come back and find yourself. And you can be all intentional all you want. And you can come back and find yourself in a place where you feel like there's a disconnect. It's not always something you can put your fingers. Our quick run to is what Auntie B is talking about, right? That's a quick run to. It's just something that's happening in that moment. Our quick run to is the last thing, the last event that happened that you can remember. That's basically what you're pointing fingers at, right? You don't take me out anymore. I feel like we should travel, and we don't travel anymore. But the issue is usually much more bigger than that. What you will find is that usually maybe this man has been behaving this way in many other aspects of life. Maybe he's quite nonchalant about life itself. Maybe he's just very focused on work and that, then you will hear things like, hey, marriage is not about happiness, it's duty and responsibility, right? And that's cap. Okay, that's cap. In 1960, you can get away with that. In 2022, you can be a very good guy. You're married, you're trying to handle your business, and she can dump your ass. And that's what we're talking about today. And it may be like, again, it may be the most perfect situation as far as other people outside are concerned. They're like, what was wrong? There's nothing that was wrong with that marriage. What happened? Hey, Yvette, good to see you, Yvette. Good to see you, Ichena. Right? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. We're going to talk about what happened today. Okay. The person on the receiving end of this type of behavior is usually wrong in terms of you're off. That's what you're feeling is not the reality. Okay, they're feelings. Then the other person that's basically the perpetuator of this issue, like the NAIJA man, right? Is also completely wrong. Okay, he's not wrong, but he's definitely can potentially create the wrong outcome. Yes, his wife can absolutely leave him. It starts with simple stuff like, hey, let's take a trip. No, there's no need to take a trip. What is all that about? Is that what your mates are doing? It starts with little things like that. So we're going to talk about it today. But before we get to it, thank you. Shout out to Auntie B for being vulnerable enough to share this video. and to even elaborate more on it on the show yesterday, we're going to talk about this today. Let's talk about this guy. The reason why I made this guy the face is because he's like the extreme of what we're talking about. Most people are not in the extreme situation. Hey, Sunshine, good morning. Good morning to you. Right? Most people are not in the extreme situation, but nonetheless, this is some people go to the extreme of it. The extreme of it is the extreme is on two sides always. The extreme is that you're beating the crap out of your wife anytime she has something to say. Eventually, you find yourself beating her up. That's terrible, right? Some people have the extreme. The other extreme is that no, he's an extremely good guy, but he does not realize that he's boring. Right? That's the other extreme. By the way, they both result in the same place, a divorce court. Okay? Or maybe, the one who is beating up his wife can end up in jail, but not FFK though. FFK is a powerful guy in Nigeria. He's not going to jail. She did the right thing. If she did the right thing by just leaving. Okay? Let me share this with you. Okay? I have a few disclosures I want to share with you about this topic before we continue. A few disclosures that I must share with you before we continue this topic. Let me find it. This is very, very important that I share this with you. Two different disclosures. Ladies, okay? Ladies, this is very important. Okay? First of all, Yvette says, yes, I saw Lady B's show yesterday. That was a good show, right? Exactly. So let's talk about this. This is the first discussion. Ladies, a part of this conversation may make you feel like I'm asking you to take responsibility for being a victim. That's not my intentions, okay? If there are some things that are not clear, ask me, okay? I will hang out if you have questions to answer them, okay? But there will be moments the way you feel like I'm actually asking you to. How do I know this, right? I had a conversation with my wife about this. I think she's watched the show from yesterday halfway through, and she had some insights to share with me. Because again, I'm a man, right? There's only so much I can know about how a woman feels. From experience, I can pick a few things here and there. I can see some patterns, but ultimately, only a woman knows how she feels. Okay, so I try my best to listen as much as possible, and not blanket out a theory, a belief system, some religious, because she might feel one way today and tomorrow is different. That's one of the things that men don't realize, as it is what it is. It's not something that women even realize. It's just what it is. Okay? So ladies, a part of this. So that's the first disclaimer, right? My second disclaimer is this, okay? Because we're about to talk, it trigger a lot. We're about to talk about a little bit of some, this one right here. If you truly feel that your case is extreme, meaning a life and death related, even if it's feelings, even if it's emotional, but you're feeling like that, right? Please, by all means, I encourage you. I'm not the one to shy away. Leave first, and then you assess everything else later. Okay? Your feelings matter. Never mind the people that say facts over feelings. They're full of shit when they say that. Your feelings matter, because nothing good comes out of bad feelings in a marriage. You may stay there because somebody told you fact over feelings. You just deal with it, duty and response. Eventually, the truth will bring its head to the surface. And it will only get worse because you waited way too long before you address the situation. Leave first and then assess everything else later. Your feelings matter. You matter. It doesn't matter if you're the husband or the wife, okay? If as a man you feel like you're always being provoked and you seem like you're about to slap somebody, leave first. Society is not going to listen to you once it happens, okay? That's just the reality, okay? We don't argue with reality, because if you argue, with reality, you can't argue with the consequences of reality. It's just what it is, okay? And that's what I'm here to shed light on for you. Okay, some things you can't control, some things you can control. Focus on the things you can control. Hey, Bumi, good to see you, Bumi. Good to see you. Everybody's coming in small, small. Yeah, everybody's coming in. Yvette says, very good and emotional to many. Lady B's show, informative too. Very, very, yes. Well, I appreciate. I like that you guys loved it, but I knew that we were not done with that conversation. I don't think we'll be done with it today either, but we'll do our best. Hey, Bumi, good to see you, Bumi. Oh yeah, they're good to see you. Say yes, feelings cause deletions and all sorts of things. Yes, feelings matter. Anybody who says otherwise is full of shit. And I mean that. And I mean all my friends that say that kind of stuff too. Okay? She says it's good to leave for a while to clear your mind. Yes, leaving doesn't have to be a permanent decision, right? Feelings are a fact too. Exactly. Yeah, in fact, the things that most of them reference as feelings are recorded as facts are recorded people's feelings and emotions. They're just recorded. You call them facts. Hey, Eunice, good to see you. Good to see you. So let's get into this. Right? Let's get into this Femi Fani-Kayode's story. Let's read it together. Okay. So the wife, this was posted last year, December 2021. Okay. She left a while before that. Now I don't know because people will put this kind of stuff out there and they will still come back and get back together. So I don't know their present status. But again, there's some things here we can extract from this. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, boy. All right, so let me blow it up. Let me see if it. Okay, all right, that's better. That looks better. So, a beauty, according to her, Fani-Kayode never consummated a 6-year relationship with her because of his alleged challenge. Why am I talking about this? Why did I find this? Now she left. He got dumped. Okay, he chopped breakfast. Precisely, right? But then she's saying she never enjoyed our intimate session. Now, let me just share this with gentlemen. Listen, it's nothing new. Erectile dysfunction, ED, is nothing new. It's not that special. It only becomes special if you make it. Listen, I understand because our ego, God forbid, right, gets tampered with this type of things, right, as men. But again, we're talking about your whole livelihood. At some point, even if your ego is tampered with, if you know that something can effectively affect your livelihood, your family life, the home for your children, you have to face it with your full chest and say, let's go talk to someone. And then keep the ego, like manage that, put that on the side somewhere, and then work with your wife. The issue is usually not the ED itself, it's the fact that there's this quiet silence rule. We can't talk about it, and it's all awkward. And really, all that women will need in this conversation is to feel heard, feel seen, feel like they're part of the solution, and that can carry you guys through a lifetime. But if they feel like they're not a part of the solution, or you're making random decisions on the side and stuff like that, it becomes very dangerous. But anyway, this is all accusations. It's all allegations, according to Sarah report as I'm reading on, right? According to her, Fani-Kayode never consummated a 6-year relationship with her because of his alleged challenge. A beauty queen, Precious Chikwendu, has told a customary court of the Federal Capital Territory Abuja that the former aviation minister, FFK, Femi Fani-Kayode, has erectile dysfunction. According to her, Fani-Kayode never consummated a 6-year relationship with her because of his alleged challenge. That's them. Miss Chikwendu said the 4 children she had with Fani-Kayode were conceived via artificial insemination. Again, a lot of people go through this type of stuff. And this thing right here is what I consider environmental factor. Just life happening. Sometimes the worst things happen to good people. I'm not claiming that FFK is a good person. I'm just saying regular people can deal with it. It's how you as a man especially, is how you respond to crisis that matters. It's not how you manage to make sure no crisis ever come to your life. That will never happen. Everybody will receive one crisis or the other. And it's called crisis because it will always come from a blind spot. All your intentionality in life is not going to suddenly make you avoid crisis. It's just part of life. But how you respond to it is what separates the losers from the winners. Okay? She told the court that she was forced to be celibate during the time they were together. Well, that's cap. You weren't forced to be celibate, but I hear you. She also told the court that the former minister did not perform any rites before their marriage, nor paid her bride price. She therefore prayed the court to declare that she was never married to Fani-Kayode. Well, he was married, allegedly was married to somebody that he's still married to when he got with this lady. So, but Nigeria, there's customary court and polygamy is legal to some extent. So, who knows? You know, like she has done several times, Chikwendu accused Fani-Kayode of assaulting her while they were married, adding that the former minister lied to her that his marriage to his third wife had ended, some Ghanaian wife, something like that. He had initial marriages that were short-lived, 3 years, 4 years. You know, this is actually the longest he's actually been with a person. It's about 2014 to 2020-ish. What was that, 6 years? Long, right? Clearly, you know, FFK has a pattern here, right? A pattern of being dumped by his wives. The third one is the only one that didn't really dump him, but then she allegedly moved to Ghana, and basically they never lived together again, even though she continued to claim they're still married. And then he claimed that they were no longer together to this lady, to Precious. The petitioner, Chikwendu, stated this in our November 29, 2001 application, blah, 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 legal language. An order declaring that there was no customary marriage between the petitioner, right? Anambra State, Igbo native law and customs. So this is also intertribal marriage of some sort, intertribal relationship, because they were never married, based on what they're saying here. Alternatively, assuming by the evidence during the trial of the court finds that there was a customary marriage between the parties. Okay, again, they're saying evidence by the trial during the court. An order dissolving the customary marriage between the petitioner and an order granting, let's see, now she wants all of these different properties back, right? She identified others as her mother's burial videos and souvenirs. Okay, she wants her stuff out. She ran away from the house, okay? And she wants her stuff, basically. Chikwendu said her relationship with Fani-Kayode was full of woes, lies, deceits, quarrels. Is this realistic? Do you think a lot of people are going through this? At least this first four, right? Woes, lies, deceit, quarrels, assaults. That's an allegation, because people do end up in jail for that. Battery, yes. Domestic DV, lack of trust, absence of love, public disgrace. Well, the FFK that we know in the public, if you were to guess, if you were to bet, right? And shame and absence of, above all, this is definitely won't fly. A lot of men it's a shocker to them that women actually love Kerewa. Like, they're surprised, like, what is that? Like, dude, of course, even if she doesn't love it, she would like to love it, right? Why do you think all those novels are selling, all those romantic novels are selling? Why do you think 50 Shades of Grey sold so fast? You thought it was only American women that bought that? A lot of men are in darkness. Your woman would love to have a solid kerewa, elaborate one, the one where you do like a ceremony, like you take your time on it. She would love when she finished and she say, you know what, that was a good time. Not the routine one that most people have, right? The routine, let's just knock it out. You know, as men, sometimes we don't mind. We just want a little, sometimes we just want a nut, and that's good to carry us for some time. But the woman anatomy is a little bit different, especially if she's in a long-term relationship, marriage. And this is one of the reasons why one of the problems with Nigerian men and women is they can't say it in words, but this is one of the biggest deals terrible kerewa. Okay? I'm just being honest. Okay? Due to the inability to sexually perform an intolerable behavior of the respondent. She contended that there was never a marriage between the parties. Well, in the Muslim culture, if you never consummated the marriage in 3 months, the marriage never existed. So, if it's true, she has a point there. The question is that how is that going to be proven? Because now they have babies, but there's probably proof that they were conceived by way of insemination, right? Anyway, what she's describing right now, let's say she's lying from a factual standpoint. Gentlemen, listen to me clearly. Okay? Let's say she's completely telling lies, right? What we can both agree on is that this woman's experience in that marriage was nowhere near good. We can all agree to that. Let's say she's, there's holes in this story. Let's say you want to dig into this hole and say she's lying, she's copying. Okay, good. But we can all agree that she's not going to have a good time in the marriage and just leave. This is the part that we forget to talk about. A person that's having a good time in the marriage, okay, let me say it like this. A woman who is in love with you will not dump you. Can we all agree on that, at least? Like, that's just a fact. A woman who is in love with you will not dump you, right? I'm not talking about the reasons why she's no longer in love with you. I'm not talking about if she actually, I'm saying she's not in love. I'm not talking about if she actually loves you. Loving you and being in love with you are two different things. Loving you is, if she says, I love you, I love him, I will always love him, that's duty and responsibility. That's what wives are supposed to do. But being in love with you, meaning she's head over heels in love with you, she can't stop thinking about you. She can't wait to take care of you. She can't wait to rub your head down. Speaking of rubbing your head down, I have a video for Auntie B because I know she will see this later. I have a video. Hey, make sure you're liking this. I see. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Do me a favor. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Okay? Let me see if I can pull up this video real quick. A woman that wants to rub your head. Let's see. Because we let me see. Can I find it? Where's this video? Don't do that to me. I do have that video somewhere here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, all right, I found it. Ladies, what does it feel like when you rub a man's head? I want to show it to you. I'd rather show you. I think it's better that I show you, right? Than tell you. Because it seems like I was joking around yesterday, but I promise I wasn't joking. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, let's check out this small video real quick. Check that out, ladies. Right? Check that out. You see how it's loud? Isn't it happy? Let me play that for you again. Watch. I just give you a little tip right there. Oh, wow. So let me see. I see, they already teach me here. Let's go for it. Uchenna says, shout out to you, Uchenna. She says, love language is important, but some women's energy is so draining spiritually. That's true. It's true. Women, you have a responsibility here. Well, let me say it like this. If you're going to complain, you better know that you have responsibility. But we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to share some tips. My tips are not things you're supposed to take religiously, they're just things that you process and then create your own insights out of them and see maybe you can, maybe you actually have more power than you realize, you know? Bumi says, I would have left since. What sort of marriage is this? You're talking about the FFK one, right? I don't understand. Let's see here. Let me make sure that we're presenting properly here. I don't understand older men. Oh, I dated a guy 10 years ago, 10 years older, and he had these same issues. Well, everything gets old. If you married a person earlier in life, at some point, Mama Dog Bonsi non, you know, everything gets old. Just keep that at the back of your mind. But it shouldn't be too early. Like he's like 62 years old. It doesn't have to be. If it's a guy that's healthy, it doesn't have to be. But you know, for some people it's early. Just like menopause can be early for certain women and the other, right? But there are ways around it if you're open. One of the problems with a lot of NAIJA men is they're not open. Well, let me say it's not just NAIJA men, by the way. Anybody who want to claim they're traditional, they're usually not open. They're closed-minded. Okay, and that's a big issue. It affects so many other areas of life, right? You will see that in some of the tips I'll share with you later on. I never told him, so he never knew it was one of the reasons I left. They want beauty and youth, but can't get it up. Oops. Anyway, I was there just for 4 months and it was acting like it was nothing. Though I did not address I realized the dude was always going to be in denial. I left without blinking. Jesus. Who ego help? Yeah. Ego for us men is a big deal. It's the respect ego want to feel like a man thing, you know. And it's part, believe it or not, in very weird, twisted ways, it's a powerful tool for you as a woman if you know how to use it. Okay? If you know how to use it. Now, if you use it to shame him, if that's what you tend to use, you say, what kind of ego is that, Bomi? If you say ego, you know, sure you want if that's what you do with your husband, you don't realize the power in the fact that men are built to be egotistical. You know, it's a powerful thing, it's a powerful tool that you can actually use in your favor if you know what you're doing, you know. But we'll get there. Oh, yeah, this is I would have actually stayed, but he was acting like it was no big deal. Who wants to go 50 years like that? Hey, alright, Gafon Oyadeo. Let's see. African men should understand that it's not only about bread. You also have to put in the work. Correct, correct. Lots of men go through it from mid 30s and up. For many men, yes. Many men, there's so many reasons why people can be dealing with ED. Right? So many reasons. Sometimes it's diet. Sometimes it's health. Sometimes it's I think it may be linked to genetics too. See a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But the point is that there are ways around these issues. If you just calm down and realize that you're not alone. It's just that again, nobody talks about it, right? People, if everybody's not talking about it, I understand why you may feel like you're alone. But the fact of the matter is that you're not alone. You can actually see a doctor and talk to a doctor. Okay? At times, she said, he's definitely the problem. At times, it's not good sleep, bad diet. Oh, see, it can be a spiritual problem. I hear you on that. You ladies should push your men to go to the gym. Hey, you know, if you're not working out, that could make the health deteriorate a lot faster, right? A little push up here and there, a little staying active, a little walk up the staircase instead of taking the elevator all the time goes a long way. And men, a lot of time, again, the ego thing, seeing the doctor, you know, twice a year is a big, it's something that it's like pulling teeth, you know, it's like pulling teeth to get a man to see a doctor at least twice a year. Like go do a checkup, do all the blood work, can be a big deal. So you really think they're just out here to harm you? No, it's not that simple. Sometimes it's something it's tough we do to ourselves. You know, My parents' marriage in a nutshell, Jesus. At times, women cause ED problems. I wonder how. Why? Because of how you talk to him? Yes. Well, if it's a consistent issue, it's probably not how you talk to him. But yeah, you can run your mouth and well, he might be, So I'm not sure if that's what you're alluding to. But and also, if he's not attracted to you, yes, that's a good point, Uchenna. If he's having a hard time being attracted to you, but I mean, look at this beautiful lady on the screen right now. For an average man, you think they won't take? Do you think she doesn't have somebody she's already speaking to on the side by the time she left? Really? Uh, Maybe not, but it's possible. Okay, and that's one of the things I want men to understand and women alike. You are in an active marketplace. If you don't, if you don't know how to edify what you've got, there's more than enough people in the marketplace to help you edify it properly. In different ways you can think of it. And while you are there crying that the person is wrong for cheating on you, there's an active marketplace going on. There's a housewife, or no, it's a work wife, work husband, people that are blinking at your husband and your wife. If you don't know how to edify what you got, if all you see is the grass is always greener on the other side, it's something to pay attention to, Terrible caregiver will make most women leave, cheat, or be miserable. Miserable is actually worse in my opinion. Because you can stay there and be miserable, which means she will make your life miserable. Right? She may not intend to make your life miserable, but imagine a woman who is miserable. You're shooting yourself on the leg. You don't. Unknowingly, maybe. You may be completely oblivious to it, right? But you're shooting yourself on the leg. It could be so much more better if you just pay a little bit of attention and notice that, hey, why? I want my wife to be not miserable. I want her to be having a good time. If she's having a good time in that relationship, forget marriage for a second. Just be doing life with you, period. If she's having a good time, most people can keep up with that. There's no competition for you. But if you're just going to be like, put my legs up and life continues, is duty and responsibility. That's how they take your wife. And your husband too, by the way. Just so you know. Am I saying it's your fault? I already warned you. Remember the disclaimer I put earlier, right? There's some things I will say that will come off as I'm asking you to take responsibility for being a victim. You might have been a victim. I'm asking you to don't keep playing a victim. I want you to listen attentively today because you actually have some power that you can engage, either as a man or as a woman. Okay? If your woman dumped you, there is a reason. Okay? It could be the devil. You're right. There's a reason. Okay? What I'm asking you is that make sure you are accurately identify the reason. Okay? All right. So, if she feels loved and loves you, she won't leave. A woman who is in love with you is not going to leave you. A man who is in love with you, he might love you. That's two different things. A man who is in love with you, right, is not going to leave you. Okay? It's not. It's vice versa. But let me focus on the NAIJA men getting dumped today. So I'm going to speak on one side today. So I don't want to be doing double side mouth. Let's talk about how NAIJA men are getting dumped and why. What you can do about it as a woman, because you may already be feeling like, dude, this is how it starts. You don't start by, as a woman, you don't start by saying, I want to leave this man. That's not how it starts. Okay? It starts with a little cry out for help, like, take me out. I just want to have a good time. Remember that Will Smith's wife, Jada's speech? I haven't felt good for so long. Jesus Christ, for so long. It sounds terrible. Everybody's calling her a Jezebel for that. But that's the reality of a lot of people. They're lucky they happen to maintain the marriage. And a lot of people are not so lucky. Right? It's feelings. Yes, it's feelings. I know it's a very difficult beast to have to deal with. But it's the reality. What if the woman is horrible in bed? Uchenna, are you a man? Uchenna, tell me, are you a man? Or you're just advocating for men here? I just need to have an idea of who I'm talking to, What if the woman is horrible in bed? If your spouse is horrible in bed, both of you need to take responsibility for that. Listen to me clearly. If your spouse, the person you're married to, is horrible in bed, guess who gets to take responsibility for that? Both of you. Okay? But when all else fails, right? You, the one complaining, you get to take responsibility for it. Okay? There's some things you can do about it. You will know that until you've actually asked for help, right? But if you're on the victim side, you feel like a victim, you feel like the person on the receiving end, it's only natural for you to feel like pointing fingers. You're like the rest of us, you're a human being. You tend to point fingers, but it doesn't help you. You don't get to solutions by doing that, right? So, Uchenna says I'm a man. Okay, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense, yeah, yeah. But what if the woman is horrible in bed? You both take responsibility for that. Especially if this is your wife. She didn't start becoming horrible in bed today. Something was happening over time. She either lost libido, she lost interest, or she was always like that. Like we're not gonna cap and say, hey, she should just go and be better in bed. That's not how that's gonna work. In fact, the more you talk like that, the worse it's gonna get. Because again, inside our head, it's walk backwards. If you tell her she's horrible in bed, it gets worse. But if you know how to use your mouthpiece properly in every way you can think of, then maybe we can talk a little bit more. Okay. Let's see. I actually love that men have ego. Thank you, Yade. This is what makes them a man. This is what attracts you to them, right? It is part of what makes women feel safe. This girl's smart, and makes men attractive. It's just all things have a spectrum. Yes, it gets to a point that, it messes with the sexual polarity. If it messes with sexual polarity negatively, then we gotta address something. But at the very core of it, of it is what makes a man attractive to a typical woman. The fact that he feels like a man. As a matter of fact, the moment you stop feeling like a man, if you start crying like a wussy, you're probably going to be like, why is he always crying like a bitch? Anyway, some men, will you guys let me get to the material today? Some men think their wives won't go, but there are many men who are looking at her. No matter the age, thank you. It doesn't matter if she's 65 years old, there's a man that will happily take that woman away from you. And it will hurt like they took an 18-year-old girl away from you. Okay? Why? Because of the ego, territory. Like what? You never see it coming. And it happens all the time. Ask white people. Their wife, the one that get dumped, they don't get dumped until 35 years into the marriage when they become empty nesters. And women, a lot of women were not going to leave unless they've replaced your ass, at least by some dude in a text message on WhatsApp. No matter the age, they can get another man. Two of my aunts were married in our 50s. They don't want to hear that. What they want to do is that they want to blanket the whole world, 7 billion people into one statistics and said, yeah, women are never going to find a husband at 50. That's big cap. Maybe the woman in your family. The women I know, when they are 50, 60, they can still bag a 35-year, 45-year-old man. Easily. So what are we talking about? They will bag your wife. That wife that you think she's already done. You thought she was done because she's old. I'm a man. Thank you, Uchenna. Yes, thank you for being here, Uchenna. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone here, of course. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. Lady Navoa, good to see you. I hate telling my husband what to do, though. Yes, exactly. Even when I do, he doesn't listen sometimes. Well, he doesn't listen. Plus, you don't feel good. You don't feel safe when you have to tell him what to do. So I can understand that. Clip that, make a short out of that MOP. Which one? Which one are you talking about? I must have said something. I'll try to do that. Women run their mouth to miserable women. So the countdown starts at of her exit out of the relation. Women run their mouth to miserable women. So the countdown starts of her exit of the relationship. Maybe, in fact, let me play my favorite for you right now, because you
Oh,
know
you're right.
maybe you're right, but we're not going to focus on that. What we're going to focus on is the fact that you got dumped by your wife. Let's say she goes and start running her mouth to her sisters, who is miserable, not married. Her friend, who is miserable, not married. And somehow these people convince her to leave her marriage. Guess what? She still wasn't in love with you. Because if she was in love with you, women will fight their family members for you. They will say, don't come to my house anymore. If that, they will tell their mother, the one that gave birth, don't come to my house anymore. If that's how you're going to be talking about her husband. See, a lot of things can be true at the same time. It can be true that she started running her mouth to her friend. It can be true that she's disrespectful. It can be true that her privates were smelly. That's why you didn't want her. When you chop that breakfast, it will hurt just as much. Okay? So we have to stay focused here on what the real issues are, right? And if there are little issues like the symptoms, like a smelly coochie or something like that, let's talk about how to help you mitigate all this risk that can destroy your family. You see what I'm saying? That's what I want to talk about today. It doesn't make what you're saying wrong. You could be completely correct, right? That she's running her mouth. She shouldn't tell her friends stuff. She shouldn't be hanging out with this type of friends. Why is she going on girls trip and all this stuff? Listen, I say a woman who is in love with you is not hungry for girls trip. There's nothing wrong with girls trip. She might actually have a cultural something she does out of culture with her sisters, her friends, that they go on girls trip. That's not what I'm talking about. But if your wife wakes up one day, suddenly random, and she's looking for girls trip all over the place, there's trouble in paradise. But you know the problem with that? Most men, they really can't see it coming. They really assume like there's nothing else out there for her. How she won't be shocker. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, let's get to this. Let's a couple of things. Listen, no matter how long it's going to take today, we have to talk about this today. Okay, it's on both sides, but today I'm focused on the NAIJA men, the ones that are getting dumped. You're getting dumped because there's a reason for it. One major reason for it is you're oblivious. Women think you're being wicked, but I really think a lot of people just can't see what they can't see. She's crying out for help. You say, she said it one time. She see how you react. Now she try to protect your feelings. She said, babe, can we go out on a date next week? So a date. Well, you want to go out on a date? Okay. We could do that next week. Next week, she doesn't like the feeling of having to remind you. She already did not like the feeling of having to tell you. But now she has to remind you. Now, let's say that's repetitive behavior over and over again. That's additional resentment. Small. Now, let's say what Uchenna said is correct. She now go and share with a friend. And the friend start running and she's miserable and she's like, Ali, why are you worried about that? I'll take you out to go. Maybe Uchenna is right after all, but guess what? Guess who was oblivious to the wife in the first place, right? Guess who helped leave that crack open in their marriage? Leave that crack open in your marriage. That girl that you don't find attractive, they will blow her back out at work. And then suddenly, you wake up, you start becoming attracted suddenly. That's why I said, I don't think you can see what you can't see. I understand. When anything is readily available, you take it for granted. We all do it in life. And if it's just there, you wake up to it's there. It's lying down there flat. You see her stomach. So you start to say it's because of her stomach. The moment some guy starts, the moment you notice that she's spending a lot of time on WhatsApp, in the bathroom, you wake up. And then suddenly you start to see what attracted you in the first place, because you can see her smile when she's replying that text. And you're like, what's funny? And she's like, you look when. And then now she be shocker. I'm not saying your woman should get fat and be unattractive or anything like that. I'm saying if you desire a healthy looking woman, there's a way to go about it. Right? First of all, you have to lead by example. Okay? Human beings, they're conditioned by what they see. People always say, man are driven by what they see. Everybody is driven by what they see. Let me just tell you right now. If she sees you actively working on something will start to tingle. Let's say she doesn't care at all. At some point, it's like, babe, I want you to be fit too. Let's follow me to the gym tomorrow. Oh, you think I'm fat? Right? Of course not. You're beautiful. I love you as you are. But I want you to be fit. I want us to be healthy. I want to be blowing that back out for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Right? Right? It's all about how you say it. Can you throw a little banter? Are you so serious all the time? It's supposed to be like, be a certain way. Hey, calm down. Put some fun into life. First of all, you have a good reason. But you also have to understand that feelings are real. If she feels that you don't like her anymore, she's going to react a certain way. You as the man have to lead out of that funk. Like, why are you always blaming us for everything? Nigga, I'm blaming you for everything. Let's get used to that. Come on, get used to that. Okay? You are the leader. What that means is that when you find yourself in crisis, you lead yourself first of all out of that crisis. You lead your wife out of that crisis. You lead your children out of that crisis. And if you can't do that, you, as far as society is concerned, you are a failed man. I didn't say it. It's not me. It's just the standard that we operate by in this human experience. You feel me? So, let's see. Oh yeah, this is matter of fact, my aunt remarried to a younger man, tech CEO too, and she's super hot though. Married 6 years now. It happens all the time. Listen, you're right. If you blanket all 7 billion people into it, it's probably unlikely to happen. You're right. But in my world, what I see, I don't know who recorded those data. Older women are getting married all the time. They're getting bagged all the time. Okay? No, for marriage. Some people say, no, they just want to have sex with them. No. Cap. They're getting bagged. Getting proposed to. Okay? That's anecdotal. Whatever. Okay? What I'm saying is that if your wife, if that's what you're counting on, that she won't leave you, be shocker. It's going to hurt just as much. It could be that she doesn't feel heard by her husband. A sense of humor is important in marriage, in my opinion. Yes. It's part of being, remember I keep talking about friendship, right? I keep talking about the 4 things that you must pay attention to. If you can't pay attention to everything else, pay attention to these 4 things. Friendship, sex, manage your expectations, manage your pride. There's nothing wrong with a little pride. I want you to have a healthy self-esteem as a woman too. But when that pride comes to a place where, like, you have to be right all the time. Like, if you start to feel funny, it's feelings. It feels funny. I don't know. You might actually be right, but it feels funny. It is what it is. If you rose me up the wrong way, I feel like you're disrespectful. You're actually saying something that's right. We told ourselves we'd never leave our shoes at the door. But somehow I left the shoes at the door. But the way you brought it to me made me feel some type of way. The feelings take over. Very simple. It's the way the human brain is set up. So that's that right there. So yes, friendship is part of it, is banter, knowing how to throw in a little banter here and there, right? That's part of it. Okay. So a sense of humor is important in marriage, in my opinion. If your woman's stuff smell funny, and that's why, tell her, babe, I want to do it in the shower. Let's get in the shower. Let's shower together. Okay. Let's go in the shower. Okay? If she says, I don't know, I was like, listen, you know what? Me, I actually don't want to do anything. I want to watch you play with yourself. Where's that coming from? I'm dead ass. Seriously, it's gonna be fun. Let's try it. I want to watch you play with yourself. That's too much for some people. You're too serious. Gentlemen, you get too serious in marriage. Fuck the marriage for a second. This is a relationship with a person you're trying to do life with. If they're not having a good time, they will dump your ass. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Never mind your ideologies of duty, responsibility, all that nonsense. All that stuff out the window. When people don't feel right, they will do what's wrong. Do you not understand that? Okay? Some of the women I know are in their 60s and 70s. Few are divorcees and have remarried or in good relationship. Very attractive women with younger men. It happens more than enough time. It's not just anecdotal, you know. The other aunt remarried a man 5 years older and they just travel everywhere together. Yeah, especially now online. People are even finding themselves online. They have websites for that. Like, let's just stop the cap. I know we like to talk about just all the negative and all the worst case scenarios. You're gonna die single alone if you leave your husband. Well, maybe you're right. She'll still dump your ass. You will still chop that breakfast. Where? That is why I'm a be hot at every stage in life. No time. Look hard till the end. You have to pay attention to it because it's an active marketplace. Somebody will take him too, just so you know. Yeah, but me say, let me complete my steps. Murasi, continue. Continue, Bumi. Anyway, so the truth is that the grass always seems greener on the other side. Always seems greener. It's not. If it's greener on the other side, it's because somebody is watering it or it's fake. Okay. And sometimes there's a cloud. One of the clouds that we go through is sea finish. You've seen that person every day, so your brain start to mess with your head that they're always going to be there, and it's not necessarily true. We know that it's not true for at least 50% of marriages. They end up in divorce. That means somebody really thought they were doing life together. People don't go into marriage. People always want to say some people just marry because they just want the wedding. I said that's cap too. Okay, people settled for the idea they're going to be marrying this person, but somehow they couldn't handle it. They ended up in divorce because they never learned some of the things we're talking about. They have unrealistic expectations, right? They don't realize that being in a marriage is the same thing as being a human being. If you're trying to be a better person as a human being on a day-to-day basis, inside of marriage, you have to do the same thing, okay? You don't get to blame divorce on marriage. You blame it on the individuals in the marriage. That's the way it works, okay? Marriage is an institution. It's there. It's right there. You can participate. You don't have to participate. You can participate and break it up if you want after a while. After all, 50% of people are doing it. So you have choices. What I'm saying is that you actually want companionship for a lifetime. So if you want companionship for a lifetime, don't you think it's necessary to pay attention to the idea that this person may be feeling a little bored? Don't you feel like you can feel bored and it's okay to say, hey, babe, I'm bored. Let's take a trip, right? It's just natural order of things. Remember this part. The 6 human needs. We want certainty. That's the duty and responsibility stuff, right? Duty and responsibility, you're married to this person. They're always going to be there at the back of your mind. These are your assumptions. You took those vows, right? That they're always going to be there. That same human being who took those vows because they wanted the certainty of being with a person for life, they want varieties, okay? They want a little role play sometimes. They want you to change the moves sometimes. They want you to change the position sometimes. They don't want you to lie down there in the same spot watching football every night with your stomach up in the air like a freaking NTA satellite, right? They don't want to judge you. they will by default judge your ass. Not because they want to judge you, it's just going to be a turn off. You're predictable. You show up with the same goddamn move every day. It's the same 658 that you pull into the garage. You come in exactly with your hands empty. There's no time that you say, I'm bringing wine. Hey, babe, I bought you this wine. Let's take a sip. Oh, you can't take a sip? You don't overreact to that. I say, okay, maybe tomorrow. You like it? You don't like it? You have another one you like? Listen, it's about how you react to crisis. It's not about knowing everything that Allah told you to say. No, it's about when there's crisis presented to you, are you able to calm down even if you don't have all the answers? Because you will never have the answers. No, you will never have all the answers. You may have some answers. It's not really about having the answers. She just wants to feel heard. Okay. Why are you responsible for everything? Well, remember you're the one that chopped breakfast. Okay, all right. So let's stay focused here, okay? Let's stay focused. So variety, certainty, significance, connection, obviously. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. If there's a disconnect, it's not something that you have to be able to explain in logic. Only lame people are asking for logic at every turn. Only everything has to be logical. Illogical. It's lame behavior. Humans are not logical. How humans are not logical? Well, logical ability is a part of our brain, yes. But you know why we need that part of the brain? Because naturally we default to our emotions, how we feel. That's the whole point of logic. Right? It's one with respect to the other. If you're not talking about logic with respect to emotions, you're not a logical person. You're just not. Okay? You're actually, particularly, you're lame. You lack game. You think everything must be 1 + 1 = 2. And when it's not equals to 2, it's too far. Dude, if it's too far, that could be a leverage point for you. Did you realize? It's too far. She knows it's too far. She knows that you're probably going to say it's too far. But can you switch it up for her? Are you that boring that you can say, you think you can predict me? Let's go. Let's go there. See, the idea that you switch it up on her like that, that's precisely pumping attraction into your marriage. You're not, listen, you're who you are. You're not wrong if you don't want, like me, I said it on Auntie B show yesterday. If you want to punish me, take me to the mall and make me walk around with you for 2 hours. That's a very good way to punish me. My wife knows that, right? But she knows enough now that she can literally randomly come to me and say, let's go to the mall. And I will take advantage of it to make her feel good. She knows at the back of her mind that I don't like doing that. But she knows that I am aware that when I do it, I'm doing it from a very intentional place. I want to hang out with her. I want to make her feel good on that day. And it's once in a while. It's not all the time, right? But again, I had to learn this. I didn't fall out of the sky like this. Okay, I had to learn this. Okay, but the old me and most men, they're just like, oh, Mokumi, like your own companion now. Oh, I don't want to go to the mall. Predictable. She knew you were going to do it. Eventually, she would shy away from even asking you ever again. No, I'm not talking about Fani-Kayode's marriage right now, because he's not a normal. He's a politician who was probably always traveling. You know, there's a story that I want us to review. Okay, before we actually dive into some of the point, the story of Tom Brady, the footballer, the famous footballer, American footballer, and the wife. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, Tom Brady and Giselle. Divorce. So, I think she finally filed for divorce recently. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if we can find that story. All right, so my wife knows that story very much, but basically what it came down to is a man who refused to really understand quality time. You know, That's what it came down to. Yvette says, trying different positions, spending time communicating with each other, and respecting each other is vital regularly. Cool. Let's see. Let's go to. Okay, I found it. Let's look at this together. All right, this Tom Brady story. But before we dive into this, let me just. There's some other things I wanted to point out here. All right. So during such, this is still the Fani-Kayode story. During such periods of frustration and sexual desire, the petitioner would be left with the choice of merely rubbing herself. Do you know what you're missing out on when your wife is rubbing herself and you're not watching? These people. To have the slightest bit of relief. The petitioner then insisted parties should seek medical help. So she asked, let's seek medical help, right? For the respondent, and on visiting the family doctor, the respondent claimed he was diagnosed of having a cyst in his penis, which is not allowing the respondent to have erection or perform KOR. The respondent was supposedly placed on, how do you pronounce it, Ciprotab or Ciprotab, and the doctor suggested that the respondent should go and decide when he wishes to remove untangled the cyst. What does cyst look like? I don't want to know. But anyway, a few days after the visit to the doctor, the respondent informed the petitioner that he had discussed with Regina and she had prayed over her. Who is Regina? And that the respondent should not do the operation, else he would die. Regina is some kind of woli or something. The respondent never took the Ciprotab medication, but anytime the petitioner tried to engage the respondent in, so she actually wanted to do, he would claim that his penis was paining him and then drinking the medication. The petitioner bought toys for the respondent, but the respondent refused to use it and warned the petitioner never to suggest it again. All right. The ego is real. It's real. All right. So, listen, we have to talk about this. If we don't talk about this, how are you going to know why? You want to wait until you get dumped? Chikwedu averred further that since August 2020, that she walked out of the cohabitation with she walked out in August 2020. She had been continuously denied access to her children. Well, she's going to follow for like Baluju because he's a powerful guy. He can make you disappear. So. But anyway, that's the story right there. Let's go to this Tom Brady and Giselle situation. Let's see. I'm catching up with you. My wife shared a little bit with me, but before Tom Brady and Giselle finalized their divorce on Friday, the superstar quarterback, the greatest, arguably the greatest American footballer ever, was prepared to do whatever it took to make things work. Oh, now he wants to make things work. This is what it comes down to. After the person complained, which again, I'm not blaming men for not hearing. Sometimes we just can't hear it. Sometimes, what do you mean you can't hear? My wife still said it today. I was like, I'm not a woman. I'm talking like this because we've had some experience. Okay? Some people are not going to hear it until they lose their wives and their family. They can't hear it. They have to hit that rock bottom, whatever that is for them. For some people, it's 2 nights of two blue balls. For some people, it's 2 years of separation. For some people, it's basically the family destroyed. They can't hear your side. They can't hear how you feel. They can't relate to that. I'm crying out. I need help here. I don't feel whole. I feel like I lost myself. Like, lost yourself. What is it? Lost yourself. What is this? Lost yourself. Let me go and Google lost yourself. Before they did the Google lost yourself, they land in the manosphere. Manosphere is now talking gibberish. These modern women are for the streets. Everybody's confused. Marriage end up in divorce. Everybody gets more toxic. She go and Google like a marriage, and then she end up in the feminist world, and then before she knows it, she hates men. It's bad out here for people. Then they end up on the dating scene, and then they realize that, oh shit, the dating scene is terrible. There. Easy. If it's not an situation, there's nothing on the streets for anyone. The streets loves no one. Anyway, let's keep going. This was not Tom's idea. Of course, it's not his idea. It's never his idea. 80% of the time, we know it's never the man's idea to file divorce. The woman pulls the plug, and that's usually years after she had actually left emotionally. And that's usually the man actually left emotionally already too. It's just that he would never pull the plug, because after all, it's just a wife. She sits at home, take care of the babies. I don't have to file divorce. I'll just be out there doing my thing, right? It should be hardened up now, hopefully. Brady, 45, wanted to do whatever he needed to do to fix things. It's probably too late. With Butchin, that's her last name, Butchin. 42, because people would say she's at the wall. She's hit the wall. She's 42, and nobody gonna want her. You sure? You sure they don't already want her before she decided to leave? Okay, because he didn't want the divorce and he didn't want the marriage to end. The source. Let me blow this up. Make sure you can see it with me. The source. This is Tom Brady right here. The source says that Brady was willing to go to therapy, marriage counseling. She probably asked a long time ago, and it's like, what's that? So what my wife was telling me is that she was complaining for a long time about family time, quality time, and he promised, and he never delivered. And suddenly he said he was going to retire, they were going to make it happen, and then he said he's not retiring anymore. So she's like, I'm done. It's not a matter of right and wrong. You can't see what you can't see, but I can point it out for you. Your wife is going to be done one day, and the impossible, the unfathomable can happen, just like it happened to everybody else. Okay, most men, they don't see it coming. They're like, divorce papers. It wasn't that bad. Which, that's usually how it happens. Don't wait until that point. Especially if you live in the Western world. If you get dragged through the civil courts of family courts, divorce and child support, you won't like yourself. I'm telling you right now. Whatever it took to make things work. Now is whatever it took to make things work. It's too late. The Tampa Bay, I don't know what this word is. The footballers will probably know. Buccaneers? The football fans will know. It's a quarterback for, I guess that's the team. Reportedly didn't want the kids to have divorced parents. He wanted to work this out. Yeah, so he's probably going to try to use that to manipulate her to stay in, and it's too late. She's probably heard enough miserable friends say, don't stay in a marriage because of children. Never do that. Uchena, I'm saying that for you. It doesn't matter. You still chop breakfast. Okay? Don't wait until that. Don't say then she should leave if she wants to leave. Well, you're right. She's left already. Okay? What I'm saying particularly is that I'm not saying it's okay for a woman to just want to outrightly leave her marriage. What I'm saying is that she's probably has been suffering inside for a long time, and you can't relate because you're not the one suffering. And we're talking about the worst type of suffering, emotional. You ever heard about people hearing voices in their head? That's the worst thing that can happen to a human being. Nobody is shouting, you just hear it in your head. The source says that near the end of their marriage, Brady was trying to make things work and to make things right. Because he was trying to come home and she was done. Okay, that's her. That was them kissing with the children. It was a little bit too little. Oh, but Butchen, that's Giselle, felt that it was a little bit too little, too late. The source says she gave him a lot of opportunities to fix things and he didn't. It starts with little stuff, little stuff. Just that one day, shut your damn laptop down and watch TV. Watch that stupid ratchet ass TV show with her. Just that once in a while. It feels special because it's once in a while. She doesn't want you to do it with her every week. That once in a while feels special to her. Don't argue with your own destiny. Sit your goddamn ass down there and think about the result, the outcome of that. Being able to have a woman who is heads over here with you 30 years, 35 years, 40 years in, when that they lift head anymore. And she's like, babe, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Like, what do you mean don't worry about it? Nah, there's some things we can do. What? A toy? What? Some medicine? No, let's get it. And she feels even good that you're putting some efforts in because it's all mental, emotional anyway. Right? Just the effort is all she needs. You don't have to be perfect. Just a little bit here and there. Like, she can tell who you are as a person. But she can also tell when you're stretching for her. She can feel it more importantly. Right? Brady was busy following his passion during the 13-year marriage, which the source says, those are the best 13 years of his career, right? Which the source says is good for him. Yes, I felt that way too. My own story is in our book, right? Let me share on the screen at this point in time. I felt that way too. You can see our whole story in the book, right? I always tell my wife that first 8 years where it was when she tells the stories like miserable for her, I had a good time. I know it sounds terrible. She had a good time too. She would tell you she had a good time, but there was some really moments that she resented, that almost occupied her whole mind, because that's the way the brain works. The bad moments take over your brain and you start to feel like that's all the experience, that's all it is, right? And especially when she expresses it, if I'm not there to listen if I'm just there to say, no, we're having a good time. If all I want to do is argue with her, which is basically a different experience. Listen, we could be in the same classroom, listening to the same teacher, and two of us were having two different experiences. Do you realize that? And then you find yourself saying, no, she's just a liar. She's a liar. You will chop breakfast. Okay. But sometimes they just lie, right? Yeah, because you're stuck on logic and facts. She's telling you how she feels, but all you're stuck on is logic. You need to be right. You have to be right. And you will be right. But you will rightfully chop that breakfast too. But it ultimately left the model feeling like he wasn't hearing what she was saying. A lot of women, it's like they have a meeting. You would think they have a gathering of a meeting. All the women that have experienced this, they say the same sentence. I wasn't feeling heard. I didn't feel like I feel like I lost myself. They use the same damn language. See, when you hear it for the first time, you don't realize that this is common. What you do is you overreact to it and it gets worse. You lost yourself. We just came back from fuck out of here. Right? But here's the thing, you feel how you feel temporarily in that moment in time. It's going to be worse where your family is completely disrupted because she just needs to feel a little better. Just a little better. And she didn't deem it like she has any other choice than to just. But is it that bad? This is as bad as the divorce. After 13 years of marriage, the pair are both legally single. Per a 3-page legal document obtained. Sad, Yeah, but so that's another story. That's another story right there. What's the point here? There's some, like, it's not just always your woman just happen to be for the streets. That's the minority of the cases. Dare I say it? It's because you were not paying attention. A lot of time you were not paying attention, and you still are not paying attention. You're stuck on right and wrong. You're stuck on logic. You're stuck on she's wrong. She was telling lies. I don't like when people tell like, well, I don't like it either. Okay? But there's clearly other emotional issues going on, and you're completely disconnected and oblivious to the power of emotions when it comes to these things. But let's get to it. There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things. Let's get to the rest of the story, because I think we need to still this is majority of the issues is not Fani-Kayode, DV abuse. Somebody got, majority of the issue is she didn't feel heard. She didn't feel like you were hearing what she was saying. As a man, I can testify to it. I couldn't, I don't know what she was talking. I can't, now I know, because I've done a lot of assessment. I've studied this quite a bit. I have real life experience. But as a man, as in you fell out of the sky as a man, this is not something that's natural. It's not natural for you to be able to relate with how a woman would feel like she should leave a marriage after you've bought her the lifestyle that you really felt like she deserved. If you listen to Will Smith's story, through her, the biggest 40th birthday party ever, and then she looked at him, right? She looked at him and she said, "This is the biggest display of your ego ever. This is terrible," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. She didn't appreciate it. What happened after the fact? Og. Og. I want gang, I want P. Davidson. Skit Davidson. Jesus. I'm telling you, there's competition out there. They will take your wife, blow her back, if you don't pay attention to what I'm saying right now. Okay? And I'm saying that so that you can know, so you can start to imagine the worst thing ever. Right? They were making fun of an online forum that Kim K's ex will date Giselle next. Oh, yeah, right? Pete Davidson, right? Since a bump inflamed, could be large or small. Okay, all right. I hope the couple can try to work it out, but Giselle was complaining for years. Yeah, they can still get back together. There's hope. There's always hope. Especially if they have a ton of memories together. If he knows what to do. If he overreacts, there's no hope. If he's stuck on right and wrong, there is no hope. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about, let me I'm just gonna fly through the lessons today. I don't want us to waste any more time. How long have we been in this? 90 minutes in? Okay, let's spend the last few minutes. Let's get through the lesson. First of all, why? Okay, I don't know why NAIJA men are getting dumped. Number one right here. Take notes. Number one, no balance between religion and romance. So religion is not necessarily religion per se. It's basically any type of belief system. No balance between your belief system and romance. There has to be a balance. You have what you believe in, right? But you also have another human being entirely involved. Okay? You also have another human being entirely involved in this whole thing. So that's a variable you should pay attention to. Okay? As a man, I always tell men, I say, focus on your mission, your purpose, yes. But guess what can tamper with your mission and your purpose? If the home front is not good, pointless. Right? If you're not able to pay bills, you lose your job, right? And you say, my mission and my purpose is to just serve kids on the street. Guess what's gonna happen? That's gonna get tampered with, because the bills must be paid too. There's some amenities, there's some basic things that has to be in place for you to be able to chase your mission and your purpose and not have to look over your shoulder. You want to make sure that the home front is good first. All right? So that's so when you don't have a balance between that, when you don't know when to shut that laptop down, I'm guilty of this. Okay? Guilty of this. I still indulge every now and then, but the awareness is, I always say this, the awareness is half the battle won. The awareness at the back of my mind, when I indulge, maybe we're watching TV and I open my laptop, at the back of my mind, I know that I am already treading past that line, right? but she knows when I shut it down. She knows when I'm that extra effort, that I'm paying attention, I'm being present, right? It goes a long way. It doesn't have to be the laptop for you. It could be some other things that you just don't know when to shut it down. If you don't have any balance between eventually, yes, something that simple, eventually you will chop breakfast. Okay. Number two. No balance between their stubborn opinions and consideration for other perspectives. At any point in time, you can only see this and everything in front of you. There's always a blind spot behind you. There are other perspectives. Okay? There are other things you can't see. Okay? Pay attention to that. Okay? If you're this stubborn person, one of the things you have to pay attention to is that naturally you're not going to admit you're stubborn. Okay? That's the point. You don't feel like you're stubborn, right? So what am I talking about? The other person feels like you're a stubborn person. That's all that matters. Feelings. Right? They feel like you're a very stubborn person, right? How? Because it's just Teminimashi. I can't hear anybody else. No, she's just too stubborn. Like, okay. I'm talking strictly emotional matters. I'm not talking about she's about to hurt herself. I'm not talking about safety and security. I'm talking about strictly emotional issues. Just a difference in perspectives. You lack the capability to say, maybe she has a point. Maybe. She just needs to acknowledge that there's just the acknowledgement that there's a different perspective. That's really all it takes. It doesn't mean you don't have your own stance. It doesn't mean that you don't have your own, core, because she needs you to have your own core beliefs, right? Because that's part of the things he's attracted to. But if on an ongoing basis, you're not able to acknowledge that there's a different perspective sometimes, yes, you will chop breakfast. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates. It doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter if you're Femi Fani-Kayode. You will chop ham with your full chest. Hold on 1 second for me. Hold on 1 second. Just give me 1 second. No. I see they on.
Yeah, see, that's good now. I was listening to your record.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go to number 3. Oh, we got a lot to cover. I didn't realize it was going to take this long, but here we are. So number 4. Let's do number 4. Some truly believe that she has nowhere else to go. We talked about this, right? I don't care how fat her stomach is. There's somebody. Let me post this on the wall. Okay, let me post this. This was number 3. Let's do this first. Some are oblivious of their wives' need to be heard or seen. Okay? They don't understand what that means. What does it mean for a woman to want to be heard and seen? I heard what you said. That's what they say. Like, no. You're missing it. I heard what you said. See, she said what she said, but you have an opinion. You're trying to fix what was incorrect about what she said. No, you didn't hear her. Okay, you heard her. You're right. But she didn't feel heard. She doesn't feel like you're hearing what she's saying. It's a feeling. You're still stuck on right and wrong. You're stuck on logic. You're stuck on what it looks like from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It must equals to 10. That's where you're stuck. She doesn't feel from an emotional standpoint like you're hearing her. So what's the solution to that? Just listen. Active listening. Oh, so you should just, Allah is always saying people should just be a doormat so that the woman can just get her way and walk all over all the time. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that you have a need to be right. You can't even hear yourself. You're putting too much weight on it. I'm asking you should engage soft life. Why must you have an opinion? She's saying something like, I heard you, babe. I heard what you said. Let's talk about this tomorrow. I heard you. That's all she needs sometimes. She doesn't need you to fix the issue. She doesn't need you to she doesn't need you to pull out a spreadsheet to sort it. Like, she doesn't need any of that. She just wants you to feel like, okay, you're trying to say this, okay. All right, let me consider that. Whatever that looks like in your language. Because, I don't want you to go and repeat the way I'm saying it, and she's like, that's weird. You don't even talk like that. Bottom line is that what I'm talking about. There's a point that your wife gets to that she feels that you've heard her, right? But I'm telling you, for the most cases, what most men do is that they end up in an active argument with a woman, and that doesn't always work. That never works out. You're not going to win that game. It's only going to get worse, right? But this is just terrible. Women should change. Continue, Murasi. Good luck. Good luck. When you're done changing the whole society so that women can start once and for all, stop having feelings. Just be. By the way, you're asking women to be masculine when you say that. They should be adults too. They should be responsible adults too. You're asking women to be masculine. That's not what you like. That's not what you fell in love with. She wants to feel safe. When she says what she says, you say, but if it's just emotional, she wants to be right. Like, babe, you might have a point. Let me think about that. But if it's something she's going to hurt herself, safety, security, then that's your job also to say, no, you're going to hurt yourself. I'm not going to let you hurt yourself, right? But if you have a need, emotional need, that you must be right and she's wrong, or you must make it clear to her how wrong she is, right? Well, you will chop breakfast and you'll be right. Okay? You'll be right too. Number four. Some truly believe that she has nowhere else to go. We already talked about that. I don't need to waste too much time on that. There are Skip Davidsons out there. There's August Asina out there. They don't care. They will blow the backs of your wife out, and they will do for years before you find out, because you're not even hearing anything. You're not even paying attention in the first place, and you will end up in the manosphere bitching like a woman. Why modern women are behaving the way they're behaving. I'm harsh, but let's make it harsh today, okay? Sorry. Number 5, all they tend to have, this type of men that will eventually chop breakfast, all they tend to have is the fact that they are good guys. The fact that you're a good guy is not enough. Good guys, they chop breakfast. Even I don't know why chop breakfast do you have. The bad guys, when they chop, they don't even realize they chop breakfast. They don't even realize it. The good guys, I did. Remember Bishop? I am such a good guy. I did so. You're just crying. Listen, when I said he's actually a good guy, people didn't understand what I'm saying. Like, I know he was trying to be a good guy, but he's a terrible man because he was trying to manipulate people with his goodness, his own sense of righteousness. In romance, in a marriage especially, in long-term relationships is where you got caught out that bullshit the easiest. The woman will say, she won't even know what she's saying. She just know that there's a disconnect. Like, I know he's a good guy, but this is like, I don't feel good with this situation. I don't feel good. And then you feel like, Lord, she's been listening to all these feminists. So like, last, don't cast. Number 6. I'm telling you the whys, okay? This is why NAIJA men are getting dumped by their wives. Okay? It's not because they're a bad guy. That's contrary to popular beliefs, okay? It's not bad people. Ladies, you need to hear that. It's not bad people that make you feel that way. Sometimes it's just you seeing the grass is green on the other side too. But we'll talk about that in a second. I tell you, the street loves nobody. If you don't engage this and make sure you keep your home together, you will find out the hard way. But let me talk to the gentleman first. Okay? Shout out to all 19 people listening to me. Shout out to you. And shout out to all 150 people that will come back and watch this. If you're one of the 150 people that watch this tomorrow morning, tell me, highlight yourself so that I can see, highlight your comment in the morning. I know it's kind of late when I'm doing this. Okay, number 6. They don't feel the need to take responsibility in reading minds. Men will say, so are you asking me to read minds? Like, yeah, God damn it, yes. You need to learn how to read minds. Ah, that's terrible. I'm putting too much expectations on men. Okay, okay. So this is what I mean by reading minds. I don't argue with women. Just listen. The reason why I'm saying that because I know you will argue with a woman. Okay, I know that you will do it. You will get caught up in that bullshit at some point, right? But at least at the back of your mind, you're aware that this is going to turn out bad. And then you find your way to gently navigate your way out of, okay, babe, let's talk about this in the morning. Because you know the outcome. You already know the outcome of that is never good now. Right? Why are you arguing with your destiny? Right? So don't do it. Okay. That's part of reading minds. You can tell where she's going, she's not, whatever, right? So we should just allow her to do bad behavior. No, you're both doing bad behavior. You're both kids. You allow a person into that space in your heart. You sleep, you're snoring next to her every night. You don't think you're worse than a child. You can die in the middle of the night. You wake yourself up in the morning. You gave yourself to this person. You allow them into that space where they can absolutely destroy the rest of your life. And then you're still talking about people should just be adult. No, you're both not adults. The only thing you can be adult about right now is your emotional intelligence. That's it. That's your superpower. Okay? Nobody's asking anyone to perpetuate bad behavior. What I'm saying is that you can facilitate good behavior by the way you react to crisis. That's all I'm saying. In the corporate world, you'll be asked to do this. When you're leading a bunch of people, you'll be asked to facilitate good behavior, good performance, right? If everyone that you employ tend to be bad performers, you will get fired. Number seven, last but not least, last but not really last, because there's more to this, right? Obviously, right? Is that there is emotional disconnection. You know, as men, I said sometimes we just need a little nut, right? For women, it's much more different. So it takes a little bit more. But what men don't realize when all you chase after is just a nut is that you're missing out big time. You're missing out on experience. You know, you're missing out big time. There's an emotional disconnection. When you engage her emotionally, everything else will fall in place. Okay, that means she feels good about the situation. Yes, feelings. I just said yes. Again, feelings, yes. Listen, nobody gives a shit about anything else. Nobody gives a shit about anything outside of their feelings, including men. Okay? Sometimes we say, oh, I'm doing it because I'm a good man. I'm doing the right thing. I'm just a man of God. You're full of shit. You're doing it because it makes you feel safe. It's a feeling. Okay? So when there's emotional disconnection, meaning she doesn't feel safe and secure in that situation, it's only a matter of time. Sometimes it takes them 35 years before they put. Again, go ask white people. At 35 years, you just hear, oh yeah, we just lost myself, You just hear things like that. Well, it's no longer, you hear all these weird things like they have a meeting and the same terminology all the time, right? But they're saying what they're saying. They've been disconnected for a long time. It's not just one day something happened, I'm just going to put, that's what people try to make it, paint it like, right? No, it's stuff that's been happening consistently over time. And granted, as a man, I can relate. You just couldn't see it. You can't see what you can't see. But again, you're aware now that there are things you can't see. The awareness is half the battle won. All right, so those are the 7 reasons that I have for you. Now, what I want to get into, okay, ladies, I have something for you too. What you can do as a wife, because usually, remember, they can't see it. So most people watching me right now are the ladies, but these are things you can do. Okay, these are things you can do. Let's see. Number 1 thing you can do. What can you do as a wife if you find yourself in this situation? You find that it's oblivious, it's clicking, You find that you have to tell him. He's actively saying, uh, just express, just tell me what you feel, and you're like, I'm telling you, but because again, he disconnected. He doesn't know that it's supposed to be reading minds, right? Right. He doesn't have the skill set to be able to do. I'm not saying verbatim, literally reading minds, but there's some things that you should know as a man of a certain age. You have a home to keep together. There's some things you should be able to pick up and just know ahead of time, right? Um, he's a good guy. You're married to a really really good guy. Like he's a good guy, but there's a disconnect, and you just don't like where you're finding yourself right now, right? Um, he's really really acting like he's taking you for granted. Oh, maybe there's that dude in your WhatsApp already that's already whispering in your ears. Oh, 30 December is even coming up. Jesus by. All right. It's completely oblivious to how you feel. You end up in this argument all the time. Even you self, you're protecting him. You said it's a debate. There's nothing wrong with a healthy debate with your husband. But then you're the same one that you know that, damn, you're losing respect for him. Slowly but surely by the second. Right? What's the first thing you can do? Number one, take notes. Listen to this carefully. Take note. Number one, engage individual therapy or coaching. Engage individual therapy or coaching with a mindset or quest for understanding self and to help unpack your specific story. Listen, there's only so much I can do in this masterclass right now. I don't know your story. There's knowledge, there's application. Okay? I try my best to hide all the nuances here, but even at that, there's something specific about your story, so we can't project any type of generalized idea into your situation. Engage in the, and by the way, I don't want you to drag him to therapy or counseling either. As you can see, that didn't work for Tom Brady, right? It doesn't work for most men. They will now be asking for counseling later on after it's too late. But when you're asking them, they don't want to go because they're like, what's the big deal? I don't want to go and spend $150 for somebody that will just listen to me talk. They don't get it, right? But now they be asking for it last minute because it's already too late, right? So don't try to drag him. I want you to engage individual coaching and therapy with a mindset and a quest to understand. For understanding, okay? For understanding what? To understand self. Ladies, believe it or not, you're in control. It's so much more control than you realize. You have so much more power than you realize, right? But you're completely disconnected from that power when you're not self-aware to know that you're just as responsible. Yes, you are. You know, to what extent, I don't know. It depends on your specific story, okay? So your specific story needs to be unpacked. That's number one. That's the first key thing. If you find yourself in this situation, it's bad. It's really bad. You might not realize it yet. You're on your way. Even you as a woman, that you're going to pull that trigger on the divorce. You probably don't even realize that you're that close to it. But one day you're probably just going to snap. You know, snap, right? Yeah, hopefully not. Because actually, we don't like to see that. Nobody likes to see a broken apart family. Okay, it's not good for the children, right? Number two, follow that lead. That same lead. Number one, follow that lead for rule of engaging your partner in order to cover inevitable blind spots. So your first, the engagement with coaching or therapy is what's going to help you if you need to invite him. For the most part, in my opinion, on regular, no life or death issue, no extreme issues, you actually don't need to drag him. You probably just need to engage something else. I'll talk about that in a second. But there's a blind spot. There's something you can't see. Okay? So follow that same line, that same path, and uncover all the things that you can't see. Ask the therapist, say, what are the things I can't see? I know for a fact, because I listen to all our men of prestige, I know for a fact that I have a blind spot. There's some things I can't see. I'm here to understand those things. Okay. Number 3, ladies. This is for you, ladies. I have another 7 for men. So if you're a gentleman in the room, and you're like, listen, I may be on this table. I'm about to fall off this table. This guy, they shake table, right? I have something for you. Okay. Everyone will go through it in one shape, form, or the other. Everyone will go through this. Okay. There's no amount of premarital counseling that will make you avoid this. Okay. There's no amount of intentionality that will make you avoid this. You're dealing with a whole beast of a human being that you're living with. There's at least a minimum of 18 years of their life that you don't know. So, stop assuming wickedness. Assume weakness instead. Okay, I learned this from TD Jakes. Don't assume that this person is just trying to hurt you. Listen, you're not just assuming, you're not saying it like it's not literal like that, but your mind is playing tricks on you and you're feeling like, why is this man this wicked? You actually want to say, but you know he's not being wicked, but your mind is telling you repeatedly that he's supposed to know better. Okay, don't assume wickedness. Assume weakness. It's still an assumption. If you have to assume anyway, assume is a weakness. It's coming from a place. It will allow you, it will help you to apply the necessary amount of empathy to address your husband. Okay? It's going to be needed. If he feels attacked, feelings, if he feels attacked, it doesn't have to be attacked. It just needs to feel attacked. It won't produce a good fruit. It won't produce anything good. Okay? It will just get worse. And guess who else chop breakfast when he chops breakfast? You too. Because you might just end up on these streets and become statistics. Too much. Listen, you can end up on these streets too. Let's not deceive ourselves. Yeah? Okay. It's nothing out on the street for anyone. I'm warning you. If you are ahead of the curve, if you're already in this situation, is by the way, circumstantial situation, is okay. You just have to work on yourself. There are people, listen, when they were talking about Auntie Stella snatch somebody's husband, I'm telling you, let me tell you something. My wife doesn't like when I say this. Any woman can snatch anybody's husband. It's an active marketplace. If somebody don't know how to take care of their husband, they may end up in your palms and then you'll be accused of you snatching somebody's husband. Somebody said, that will never be me. Okay, I agree. You're right. But let's keep it moving. Number 4. It's okay to expect him to act like God. This is why you have such a big expectation. It was that guy you fell in love with. You never expected it, that he's just this weak, right? But realize he's not God. And he's definitely not perfect. Oh, by the way, there's no such thing as perfect. Did I say that already? I think I probably already said that already. Yeah. So these are some of the things, again, realize. Number 4th action, realize that it's okay that you expect your man. Remember what Oyade and I were talking about earlier, right? You want him to have that ego. That's what attracted you to him. He's a macho man. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel like he can protect you, right? But realize that he's not God. He has flaws. You're excusing them. Ola, you're excusing them. Okay, Tibo. Again, there's a certain level of empathy you're going to need to be able to address this. Okay? A certain level. Now, I'm going to give you some action things to do now. I got 3 more for you, ladies. Okay? This number 5 right here, my wife actually helped me adjust it because when we spoke this afternoon, she was watching the show with Auntie B yesterday and she was like, all that nonsense I was saying about, what was it that I said? She said she understand where she was coming from. Where she said I was assuming that I said, okay, this video right here, this rubbing the head video, this video. That I was assuming, right? I said, did you rub his head? If you rub his head, it makes him feel good. It's not particularly rubbing head, but whatever rubbing head is for you and your partner, right? That's what. So try not to get tired. Okay? Try not to get tired of of asking yourself, what can I do to facilitate the results I'm looking for? Remember, I warned you the one of the disclaimer I gave you in the beginning. There's going to be points we get to that it feels like I'm asking you to take responsibility for being a victim. Maybe this is one of them. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Okay, but you have power, and I'm trying to help you engage that power. Okay, try not to get tired of asking yourself, what can I do? What else? Now, this is much more accurate. What else? Maybe you've been doing things already. What else can I do to facilitate the result I'm looking for? See, when you ask this kind of question and you ponder on it, you're actually doing the work that most people will not do. Most people will just get tired at some point, will pull the plug. If you chop breakfast, not only it's not the only one that will chop breakfast, your children will chop breakfast, you yourself will chop breakfast. I'm just being honest with you, okay? So number 6, this one is very important. Ladies, this is very important for you, okay? A lot of you suffer in silence, and then you now snap one day, okay? Engage a support system, okay? Engage a support system. It could be friends, it could be a group, it could be a church group, something that you feel safe to share with them, and they might just help you see a perspective that you don't see yet. Okay? Yeah. Number 7. Gentlemen, I still have 7 for you. I'll fly through it. I'm going to keep it because I already covered it in the talkies. It's just that, I want to highlight them so you can take some notes. Okay? Engage your seductive and feminine power. So you say, Ola, what does that mean? Okay. Start, just take that same sentence, go and Google it and start. We'll talk more about it later. If you want me to talk more about it, if you want me to bring, I think Auntie B wanted to cover this also, how to be feminine, how to get, all that kind of stuff. We might even be able to do a master class on that, Maybe we'll do it on our platform, right? But this one is a big deal. Okay? Engage your seductive and feminine power. His balls are yours. Okay? But you need to know how to do it. Okay? If all you're doing is complaining about all the things you don't have or all the things you don't want, with the way our mind works, there's a good chance you will continue to attract the things you don't want. But if you know how to stay focused on the things you want and learn how to use your seductive and feminine power to attract them, just maybe, right? Just maybe, all right? So that's for you. Hopefully that was helpful, ladies. Let me get to the gentlemen. What husbands can do. You're not too sure. There's a good chance you're not too sure. You may be on this table too, gentlemen, and you're like, I don't want to wake up one day. This woman is already threatening me, and I never believed that, but she can just one day wake up and just disappear. Yes, you're right. She can just disappear one day. So these are some of the things. I'm going to fly through this, and then we're going to end the session. Then I want to know your thoughts, okay? In the comments, once we end the live session, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know the things you want me to expand more on, okay? Then we'll take it from there. Number one, gentlemen, acknowledge that you have been enjoying grace in abundance. Just acknowledge it now, okay? If she's still there, women go through so much that you have no idea. And you couldn't have an idea because you're a man, okay? Acknowledge, first of all, that you've been enjoying grace in abundance. That's number 1, okay? Number 2, master the art of creating, okay? This is key. Master the art of creating more grace. Learn the concept of the love tank. It's in the 5 love languages, I think, okay, the book. Learn the concept of love tank. Listen, if you have, when they say grace abounds, abundance grace, all that kind of stuff, right? She's giving you grace already, but your job is to continue to fill that tank, okay? And it's a lot more easier if you fill it ahead of time. Yoruba people say, "Enba domi tutu siwaju, lo ma tele tutu," right? This is key. What I am saying is key, okay? All right, number The third key, okay? Number 3. Drum roll. I should be doing drum roll right now. Number 3, don't apologize. Best apology is changed behavior. Some of you don't do overkill apology. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You will chop breakfast eventually. Oh my God, seriously. Don't apologize. The best apology is change behavior. There's a behavior. Lean into it. Understand it. It doesn't make her feel good. It could just be you're dismissive. You never hear. You always have a way of fixing what she's saying. You already know the answer before she finishes expressing her. You feel the need to talk. Can I talk? Can I talk? Me too. Can I talk? You argue with her, right? Your horsepower cannot. That's not. It's not sustainable. Don't kill yourself. It's much more easier if you let her express herself. She's expressing herself. That's all it is. You need to let her finish expressing it. Let her get it out. Oh, so we should just shut up and let woman talk, right? Whatever, man. Last. You will chop breakfast. Again, I'm telling you right now, if you know you don't want to chop breakfast, listen to what I'm saying. Okay? The best apology is change behavior. Don't be so quick. Remember I told you you're a good guy. So you're very quick. You just want to say I'm sorry so that we can get it over with. When you've said it enough time, it's watered down. It has no more value. Okay? So stop apologizing so much. Learn what it is that you're doing, especially from an emotional standpoint, right? To create what you have. Is it always could she be completely an evil woman? Yes, you're right. Of course, she could be.
Oh, you're right.
She could be completely evil. You're right. But it's very likely she's not, because you married her. It's highly likely that she's not an evil woman. She's just a typical woman. She wants to feel right again. She wants to feel good in the relationship. Or she's changed. She's evolved. Well, people evolve. You too, you probably evolved. Right? Ever think of it that way? Number 4. Let's do number 4. Don't mansplain. That means a man who is explaining himself. Don't be so quick to have to explain yourself. Okay? Focus on your purpose and mission as a man. I said that earlier, right? I will always tell you that. But with respect to setting the tone that she will build the home with. You set the tone, she build the home with it. You benefit from it too. It helps you. It helps you even focus even better on your mission and your purpose. Don't say a woman is not going to stop me from mission and purpose. Then you lose your family, bro. You're full of shit and it's going to hurt you. Okay? Stop asking her to validate. Let me help you with this one. This one is a biggie. This one is a big one. These are the things you never hear about. You're not going to hear these things in the manosphere. I tell you that right now. You won't. Okay? They'll rather talk about the courts. They'll talk about everything that happens after you chop breakfast. Number 5, stop asking her to validate your perspective. If your perspective is valid, it's valid. It doesn't need help. Okay? But also, just so you know, the feminine energy, that energy where she's resting in that femininity, where she trusts you, does not give a shit about your feelings. Okay? It doesn't give a shit about trying to validate your perspective. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good. Okay? If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good. Just so you know. My brother is here. Sahil. What's going on, Sahil? Good to see you, man. And my sister, Chinye, you're late. Make sure you watch the replay. This is a fantastic one. This one is a fantastic one. This one is classic. Okay? Femi Fani-Kayode thought it was about him, but no. This was bigger than him. Okay? Number 6, for the gentleman, if you don't want to chop breakfast. Okay? Don't try to answer every question. You don't have all the answers. She doesn't want all the answers either. She just needs to feel heard and seen. Hola, you need to expand on that. That shit, I don't understand what the fuck that means. What is heard and seen? Okay, let me know in the comments. Then we can expand on it. Okay? Her feeling heard and seen is not the same thing as you hearing her, that you actually physically heard with your hearing sense. That's not the same thing. Okay, we're talking about the feelings part of it. The key word is feelings. Feeling heard and seen. It's your superpower as a man. Once you know how to do this, it's your superpower as a man. It's not a negative for you. Okay? There's a superpower once you know how to do it. Don't kill yourself. You don't have all the answers. Stop trying to answer every question. Stop pulling out the spreadsheet when she's complaining about something. Okay? All right. Last but not least. Last but not least. Last but actually not last. There's more to this. Okay? Last but not least. You set the tone, she build the home. She builds the home. Okay? You set the home, she builds the home. Okay? You carry the seed in every sense you can think of it. I don't care. You can think of it biologically, you can think of it emotionally, you can think of it psychologically, whatever. Social construct, any of that. Okay? You carry the seed. She multiplies and reciprocates. So when you don't realize that you carry the seed or you are actually responsible for the seed, imagine how much you're missing out on. You're missing out on the multiplication part of it, right? Imagine when you're waiting for her to sow the seed, right? If you want her to just be an adult and do the right thing, if you're waiting for that before you conduct yourself like a man, right? Imagine how much you're missing out, right? Just a little effort towards family time goes a long way. Because remember, it's seed, right? It's just seed. It goes a long way, you know? See, it says being heard for a woman is everything. Yeah, so one day, I'll hopefully we can pull all y'all into the panel, and then you will explain to us what you mean by being heard or feeling heard, right? Because sometimes we actually hear you. So when you say being heard, it's confusing to a man, to a typical man, right? It's confusing, like being heard. I heard you. What do you mean? So what you're talking about is feeling heard. And that tends to be the disconnect. Remember, we talked about this, a disconnect, right? That tends to be the disconnect. She doesn't feel heard. The product of that is going to be bad. Last, it don't cast. Everybody go chop breakfast. It's real. It's real. You know, so yeah. So hopefully this was enlightening and educational. I see. Shout out to all 17 people still watching me. Shout out to you. This was a late night one. It has to be late night for now, okay? Whenever I get a chance, I will do something in the afternoon. Maybe we can gather all together, do some hot topic in the afternoon. But I really think this was necessary today. This was a good one, you know? So it's very, very important that we do this kind of masterclass so we don't get lost in the source of everything. Now, we always try to make sure it's hot. But if you missed this, Chinye, you definitely need to go and watch the beginning of this. This was a fantastic one, you know. Your action towards the woman lets her feel heard, yes. It's a feeling, you know, it's a feeling. She doesn't feel invisible or feeling like she's disappearing. A lot of women feel that. And what we tend to do as men, we'll turn around and we'll say, are you jealous of my success? I've heard that too before, like, she's jealous of your success? What do you mean? I've said that before. No, I haven't said it that way. I felt that way before because I didn't really understand what she was trying to say, you know? But it's far from the truth. She's not jealous of your success. Of course not. She's trying to say something. You just, a typical man, you're not capable of, you don't fall out of the skies knowing how to hear this type of stuff. Sometimes you have to have bad experience in order to learn this kind of stuff. and sometimes you can learn it. Some people can learn emotional intelligence, right? Some people are able to learn it, but very few. Majority of people need to hit rock bottom. They need to chop issue atata solid breakfast in the morning before they start to say, wait, maybe I missed something in all of those years. Maybe I missed something, you know. So yeah, so this was a good one. I really enjoyed delivering it too. Typically, I'll be tired and late because I'm working all day too, but I really enjoyed delivering this. I want to know your feedback. I want to hear your feedback in the comments. I want to know if anything. There's definitely some things I need to expand on. I want you to highlight that in the comments. But as always, hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. And peace.